their trade helmets, but the golden helmet looming large in our consciousness. What chance Remco Evenepoel today has got a very good one. He's already got the bragging rights over Tadej Pogačar of having beaten him in the time trial and indeed caught him as his 2.5-minute man. Can you believe that? Well, it happened. Could something strange happen today? I'm actually wondering whether we might get from a side quarter somebody that could produce something of a surprise. Well known to us, of course, after a busy cycling season that's not over yet, even after these World Championships.
Sombrero, they've got a really good team, and it's when you were mentioning then that, you know, we might have maybe some kind of outsiders, so maybe some teams that could feature in this race could surprise a little bit. I think the Italians could be in the mix here.
No Giulio Pellittari, he withdrew, and that means that we have an elevation of Giulio Ciccone. This is Tadej Pogačar just being brought back as we speak, and I guess you might say in good company, but not quite sure what the issue is. But a job to do. Was it a technical? Looks like it might well have been. He's just stopping by the pits here, but gets himself back on the bike. Got two riders around him, and marshalled nicely by Mohoric and Novak to get himself back in. But yeah, Tadej Pogačar, as we say, you're going to have some bad luck. Maybe it's just a little bit of fettling. Nothing too much to fear.
But the waving is calling for the rest. We're going to see it? No, we're not. No. Or are we? Well, let's see it again.
If it was, as we call it, a comfort break, which is basically a toilet, then, you know, he's got that ballast dealt with, and he'll get back on with the task of the day.
But he's calling the vehicles to come past. Normally in a pro race, you'll get the convoy. But you're talking about national teams here, and some of the times the national managers, this is probably the only race to do.
I was going to say not as dialed in.
No, there's certain protocol, so he's waving up tight so that they can just jump between the cars and use as less energy as possible, just like in front of them. But Shimano Neutral Service here are helping them a little bit. They understand that there's a lot of kind of ex-pro bike riders involved there. But I think it must have been a comfort break, maybe a Portaloo, because on this circuit, where can you do that? And the fact that he stopped in the pits area, you could see clearly from the pictures there that he was at the front of the peloton. So having that slippage room, stopping, having a comfort break, and then continue his effort, and now they're making their way swiftly back to the peloton.
They've got Eddie Dunbar with his Jayco, as you can see, plum-coloured trade kit helmet. There is Tadej Pogačar. Nothing too stressed. Not giving us a wave, though, I note, but he's pulled the tresses of hair out of his helmet. And there was actually a helmet that was sold with tresses of hair already attached to it, I think possibly just for a laugh, but I did think about it, you know, to recreate the glory days. Joining Eddie Dunbar on this trio, which includes Tadej Pogačar from Slovenia, is Chao Chang Wang of Thailand, who's still very much in the race. Good for him. He's just been tagged off actually as they get into the cars here.
Actually, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Joe McAleer from Met. She looks after the sponsorships, the marketing of Met helmets, and I was saying, surely not these helmets are, you know, designed like this. And he said, no, he puts his helmet on and the tufts automatically come out. It's not a fact that, you know, he pulls them out himself. Is a bit of a trademark. It just happens when he puts the helmet on.
Well, let's hear from Tadej Pogačar, who spoke at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you need to have a feeling today. It's a so long race and so hard race. You need to have a feeling for your body and for the race. And yeah, you can talk about the tactics and everything like all day, the day before the race, but in the end, it can be so many factors, and yeah, you need to have the feeling for the race.
Do you have the same feeling as last year?
As terms of shape, I think I'm really good. and in terms of motivation and energy, I think even better.
Is it going to happen in Mount Kigali?
I think so. We're gonna see some sparks there because it's so hard the climb. So I think we cannot avoid that climb to go easy over. I think a lot of people will try to attack even before, maybe to get advantage before the climb. So yeah, it's gonna be hard.
Luke Plapp has exited the race, so Luke will be watching us, I hope. But yeah, that's part of the engine room of Australia. They have Jai Hindley, of course, Jay Vine, Stora. Plapp was
recently. He's had really good performances. Jay Vine, of course, a teammate of the trade team of Terry Pagaccia, but I really do think that Jay Vine, Stora, and as you say, Jai Hindley can really feature, because both of them, both Jai Hindley and Jay Vine, had some good form in the Vuelta, and so when you've had that Grand Tour, you come out, you put the preparation in, and I think they are the three from Australia. Michael Matthews, however, has got a bit of kind of bandage, a bit of a limp before the start. It's not been, I don't think, advertised anywhere, but it looks as if he's had a little bit of an off in training.
Côte du Boeuf, if that's what you're going to ask for, it's basically a big rib, sometimes a T-bone. But the Akagara National Park is one of the beauties, one of the treasures of this part of the world, and really something that you need to visit if you're coming out here. I mentioned it earlier on in the week about taking a local guide, and that is really something that you should do. Best thing to do is get in touch with the local universities and speak to the Students' Association, and quite often they will provide you with somebody who will know an awful lot about the flora and fauna, sometimes from the, I don't know, studying zoology, who knows, but it's a lovely way. I've done it myself in the past. It's a great idea because it's a surprise to them because it's not pre-arranged, and you're not getting too many other hands in the pot, if you see what I mean, influencing the decision to take a guide, or indeed the guide themselves. So it's nice to sort of spring it upon a young person, really, who can then give you a fresh view on what is a spectacular country from their own inside perspective. And occasionally you might get invited back to their home and just experience the culture as well. It's a way of just really finding out an awful lot more that's not on any kind of official roster. Sometimes you just have to do it yourself, and to my mind, occasionally going freestyle is the best way. Will Jay Vine go freestyle today? That's what we want to know. Yeah, he's a fabulous rider. He has some exceptional results, not least of late in La Vuelta. Will he get the call? At least only ringing in his head, perhaps, in a finale if he's up against Pagaccia.
Well, I think there's no secret that I haven't done many one-day races, and this is one of the hardest ones on record. So, yeah, I think there's definitely other favourites higher on the list than me.
But the legs are there, and the course is hard.
Yeah, I mean, the legs are there, but yeah, it's still a different story with 7 hours of racing compared to the 4-hour, 5-hour stages we had in the Volta. So we'll see how we go. We've got Jai in really good shape. He did GC throughout the Volta, so we'll see what happens there. And yeah, we've got a really good, strong 8 guys here to put on a good race.
Thank you very much.
There we are. I don't think we found out too much that we wouldn't have expected. He played the PR straight bat there, didn't he? Will the team get involved? Can you imagine Brian Smith, Tadej Pogacar, Isaac doesn't matter. Hear the question. Isaac Del Toro, Tadej Pogacar, Jay Vine in each other's pockets in a very intense finale. And let's say Jay Vine wins it. And every day coming down for breakfast on the Grand Tours that he shares, of course, with Tadej Pogacar, he's wearing the rainbow bands. How annoying will that be for Tadej Pogacar?
I think you just have to take it in the chin. not a lot you can do. From what we've seen, the strongest rider has won this race. I think yesterday you could say, the strongest and bravest rider won the race. And I think if there's someone brave enough, then they could, really be pulling on that World Championship jersey, and why not for the Australians? And this is what we were talking about, that getting yourself 100% for a one-day race is a little bit different, and not everybody's the best at doing that. We just heard from Jay Vine there that he doesn't do many kind of one-day events. There was a little bit of criticism about why is Vingegaard not here, because he's another rider that some people have said that he only does stage races. The Grand Tours is his thing. He doesn't do one-day races. I think one time in the past he rode the World Championships for Denmark, but like we were talking earlier as well about how these riders, what motivates them, and to ride as part of your national team is such an incredible. Some of these stages take up to 5 hours, but this is a different beast in itself. You're talking about 6.5 hours on average of the World Championships. It could be a little bit longer today, but getting everything right on the day, that feeling, that thought process, and that was the thing that we talked about with Tom Pidcock. Tom Pidcock was never, or hasn't been, the best at, and he even admitted himself, concentration, keep, every day of a Grand Tour. That was always a question. Well, he's proven that now in the Vuelta. He's managed to do that. It's something that he struggled with, and that's why he does multiple there. The S-Baston
left to Kigali, and then we'll come back and start playing with the Côte de Kigali, which is the rib, which you are familiar with. But it's almost like that we're going to have a change of terrain. I remember when we were at Richmond with no variation within it, and I can't remember how many laps there were, Brian, but I've got a feeling it was like 40 or something.
No, it wouldn't be that short. I can remember the circuit there. Of course,
maybe it just felt like that to me.
Yeah, it seemed to be a little bit crit, but Richmond is part of the circuit on Swift. I've ridden it a few times myself, and there are the climb, the quick descent, and then the climb back up to the finishing line. So there was 2 climbs in quick succession.
15 laps. You're absolutely right. I just remember it being interminable. I kind of thought it was even more than that. Maybe it was just, maybe it was my own nightmares that came after that. But
you need to get yourself on Swift and then familiarise yourself with these World Championship courses. Innsbruck would be a good one for you. It's quite hilly.
Thanks, mate. Quite fancy Qatar. Actually, in Qatar, there was one major turn. That was it. It was like a desert road. Then they turned south.
And that's when it happened.
That's it. That was the only variation.
As the crosswinds happened, and then that was it. So I'm just looking here that another team in the white is Mexico, and the Mexican team with 3 riders started. Of course, Del Toro has been, I would say, the man of the month. What he's been doing in the Italian races has been quite incredible. But this is Freya, the Mexican. They've already used up one of the riders earlier on today. So having 3 riders, using up one rider already, putting another rider to the front. Del Toro is absolutely feeling as if he's king at the moment, or is it a case of I'm good buddies with Tadej Pogacar, who rides for Slovenia, and we're going to maybe help each other, because there's absolutely no reason why Mexico would ride. The problem you've got here is you use yet another one of your teammates. There's still 151 kilometres to go. How long can he ride at the front? Because Del Toro, come the latter part of this race today, could be on his own. So what happens if he does have to stop for a natural break? What happens if he gets a puncture or anything at all? You're without teammates, and that doesn't help you at all. You may have the form, but I do believe that you really, in the World Championships like this, there are key moments in the race where you need teammates.
You need friends as well. And could that come from trade help? International?
I hope not, but it has been in the past, and of course it was Great Britain that the coach had to move on because of what happened. There's 2 British riders. I think 2 of them are working as sports directors for a World Tour team, were riding at the fronts. And I know that happened in the past. It's you went to a World Championships, if for your country, even if you were, you had absolutely no chance yourself or no chance for anybody within the country. There was a little bit of wheeling and dealing, a little bit of money changing hands, and will you help out? And you went and did your job and got the money at the end of the day. I think nowadays it's a little bit less now, but there's still alliances made between trade teams.
Listen, if you're spending your life in the pockets of your friends, basically, you're possibly going to be given to looking favourably upon somebody who's asking for a little bit of help, even if that extends to taking a bottle from the side of the road. And equally, you're going to find, I'm sure, trade teammates, so those who ride together when they're not riding for their country, looking more favourably on somebody who, quite frankly, is a friend. I'd give you a leg up, Bry.
Yeah, but if I was really direct and personal here, like I always am, I would say that what Mexico are doing here is actually not helping Del Toro at all. If I came here as Del Toro and had 2 teammates, I'd want those 2 teammates to get me bottles, to look after me. If I needed a natural break, be there for me. If I had a puncture, be there for me, and just support me as much as I can. Even to the fact, and I did this in the Olympic Games for Max Chiandre, even just moving up in the peloton. If you stop for a natural or have anything at all, getting a bottle, even getting a bottle from a person outside the road, you don't get involved with that melee where there could be a touch of wheels, a crash. So keep safe, keep out the way from the feed stations, let your teammates get the feed for you. But what I did at the Olympics for Max Chiandre, who went on to take bronze in '96, was I kept him near the front. Whenever he needed to move up, he gave me a shout, I moved him up in the win. So you do all these things. What Mexico have done today, and I hope Del Toro goes on to win this, is ride at the front for no reason. It's 2 minutes and 39 seconds. You've got Belgium and Slovenia, 2 of the strongest nations in here. Why would you ride at all? There's no reason to ride at all. So I think they're not really kind of helping Del Toro by doing this. I think it's possibly just a little bit of show and a help, and maybe friends and Del Toro's friendship with maybe Pogacar and things like that, so that they can afford to sit back and look after their number 1 asset, which is Del Toro. They don't have to be doing this, because Florian Vermeers, well, he's doing a terrific job here, you have to say. And he's been riding pretty much from kilometre 0 at the front. We know he's very capable of doing this, and he's doing a good job at that, because we've seen Zuma for Slovenia. He's done 100 Ks, now climbed off. There's a few other riders that have been up there doing their job. Finished, we saw Will Barter for USA ride at the front, finish. Florian Vermeers still there.
A little bit of a wave, and you'll have a few more of those, I'm afraid. Ivan Romeo, very strong rider, giving us a wave goodbye. Got a teammate up the road. And this is Raul Garcia. Had to work hard to get into this breakaway, and he's been very much part of the push out front ever since he joined them. Looking a bit second-hand is Menno Wissing. He's a big man, and on the climbs he must struggle, and others are starting to show some cracks here. This is Primožić, I'm afraid, and for the last couple of laps he's looked like he's possibly a spent force. We've already seen Zuma having done his job, and there'll be a few more as well.
But that's what I'm saying. He raced for Rinkel team, which is a continental team, and we saw him back at the cars, getting bottles, bringing them up, riding a little bit on the front. So he's doing his job, which he should be doing. But this is what I was saying about the Mexican riders. Del Toro is going to need that sort of help, but he's actually using them up at the front of the peloton rather than doing these jobs. So there's a lot of jobs that you have to do in races like this that are very, very important to look after your leader. Not riding on the front like the Mexico team are doing here. So I fear that they're helping others instead of helping Del Toro in the end. But I really do hope that the sensation, or one of the sensations of this year. You know, tremendous Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, brilliant.
Possibly should have won it. Maybe mismanagement in their tactics come the end. But the way he's been riding in some of these Italian races has been quite incredible. He's been riding, you know, good riders off his wheel. But then again, this is a totally different thing. 267.5 kilometres, not easy. Certainly not easy at this, in these sort of conditions on this course.
Kind of felt sorry for him at the Giro d'Italia. It was a shoulda, coulda, and woulda. Had he been a little bit more experienced, and do you think he's actually showing that lack of experience right now without actually directing his own team to fall into the role that they would expect, especially in a short-handed outfit?
Well, I think in the Italian races, that what I've seen, because we were covering the Vuelta at the time, it's very difficult to kind of keep abreast of everything, but I think, you know, just the form he had prevailed in these races, put himself in the right place and just, you know, rode everybody else off his wheel, and those sort of races kind of really helped him. I thought possibly, and as you would, because he's still a young man, he's still learning his trade, he still wanted to do the right thing, and the fact that you know, he did what he was told to do in these races, in the Giro d'Italia and the stages come the end, and that was a mistake, and you'll learn from these mistakes. He's got a bright future ahead of him as long as he keeps on the same trajectory.
Govetska goes back to the car, has a brief chat, and I think potentially says, my day is done. The pace has picked up as well. We're still waiting to get, I haven't seen it, maybe it's just me that's missed it, some of the lap indications that we will stack up as a graphic for you, I'm sure, a little bit later on. But it's not been the most sterling pace, but I feel that that's going to change, because we're now just coming up to start or to complete lap 8. After 9 laps, we leave town. So when we're on the cobbles, next time by, this is what introduces us to our finish line, a couple of little dishes that we go into. Next time by, I think we might get a kick on, especially if we're heading out into the countryside here. It'll give us a different view of this wonderful land as well. There you go, 8 laps to go. And it looks like some help as well. Belgium want to make this difficult, likewise. I think they want to be seen as part of that. We often say buying the right to fight. Well, they're doing more than that. They're doing a lot of the work, Belgium. They're certainly staying attentive. Slovenia more disparate throughout the group. Australia keeping themselves nice and handy, but a lot of teams now getting themselves into colour order as they call for a little bit of sustenance. Because their battle plan is about... Oh, gosh. These cameras.
I think a good spot, because it shows you how important it is and how dangerous it is at the side of the road. Goveka, well, he was one of the riders that was riding at front with Vermeer, so he's done his job. Look, I've done this myself, where I've gone to kind of major races, and you get given kind of blocks of what you have to do. Your job within, you know, these kilometres is what you have to do, and if you can do that little bit more, then do it. So Goveka is gone, Zuma has done his job, there's various other riders that have done their job, and that's their day done. But from the cameras at the side, it's very important that you stay safe. I think we've only seen one crash in the feed station, and that was the under-23s. But just to give you an indication, you know, we're still doing 42 kilometres an hour on average. That's 5 to 6 kilometres an hour faster than the women's race in the middle of their race yesterday. That's just to give you an indication that these elite men are not hanging around, although it looks simple and easy at the fronts. But we had a bit of a lull in the action yesterday when the Austrian was in front, and you know, they were just riding relatively easy. This is not easy at all, and this is why Belgium and Slovenia are setting the tempo. They want to keep the average pace up, which starts to take its toll later in this race, and we're seeing it now.
There it is.
Very fast first lap at 43 kilometres an hour, but you know, we are still averaging 42 kilometres an hour, 22.
We're approaching the halfway mark of today, and considering we've already been racing for nearly 3 hours, Brian, that's massive.
Within 7 hours today. I don't know by how much, because it's my crystal ball.
It's clouded up.
Yeah, it's kind of cloudy. If they keep this up, then yeah, it'll be close to 6.5 hours, because these pro races, I keep on saying, the elite races get faster and faster towards the end. But you know, that's the nature of the beast. You know, you come here, you've got teammates, they do a specific job. When their job is done, there's no point slogging a dead horse.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the sensible nature. When you've got a big roster as well, you can afford to to throw a few pistons by having a high revving performance at the beginning, and that's precisely what we've got. Has departed the scene, so has Primožić and indeed Zuma for Slovenia, but that still, 3 absent leaves 6, which is bigger than most teams who are taking part here. They started with 6 Rwanda. Car's having a little bit of a chat. Still looks lively. He's nowhere near calling time just yet, getting himself back in. The cars may well help. Mauritius have rocked into our consciousness in the women's race. Didn't quite happen for them. Alexander Meyer is here for the men, but they had very, very high hopes, and so did we for
Kim LaCourte.
Kim
she
LaCourte.
finished 8th yesterday, which equalled the best performance in the women's elite championships, because Milman Pasio finished 8th a few years ago. Of course, in the whole championships in the junior race, Ethiopia got 7th, which surpassed that, but in the elites, Kim LaCourte equalled the best performance by an African rider.
Well, there you are. Possibly, I think she was hoping to be part of the medals runoff. Didn't quite happen.
I think there's a few thinking that as well.
Yeah, very much so, and a lot of the favourites missed out. And what's the possibility of something similar happening in the men's elite race? There seems to be too much control, and the ability to control as well, Brian, within this race today. It looks like it wouldn't surprise me if we had Evenepoel, Pogacar, Del Toro, and possibly a couple of others of our principal favourites actually duking out in a very select group of less than 10 at the end. That would almost be the ideal, wouldn't it?
That would be their ideal. I think if it was to be like the women's race yesterday, then we need a counter-attack. We need a counter-attack on this Mount Kigali. If another Belgian rider, maybe the likes of Kia Nutebruggs, managed to get away. Of course, Van Wilder would have been a good asset to have, but he crashed earlier on today. But if you've got likes of Kia Nutebruggs and a few other riders, another maybe 6 or 8 riders go across to this front group, because it's only 2 minutes, and 2 minutes in this climb is not a huge amount. Then you have 12, 14 in front, and then it makes a big difference. And then if you get the cancelling out behind, then it could be a change. But I really can't see that happening, because wherever Belgium or Slovenia go, I think they'll start to cancel out each other, as we've already seen earlier on in this race.
Drum beats continue as we stay on the circuit, but we are now at the point where we're going to depart. I think this is a really good idea to have this extension loop that will take us away from the circuit, because when we come back we will only have 6 laps remaining to deliver our champion, and I think a lot of questions will be answered, maybe a few posed as well, by the time we get out here. Amahoro Stadium, apparently it means freedom. It was actually a well-used stadium. It was built before the troubles that we had in this part of the world in 1994, and indeed was a safe sanctuary and was well protected before indeed that dark time was put behind us, and this great nation was able to pick itself up And they've done an amazing job infrastructure-wise. These roads have been absolutely impeccable. It'll be fascinating to see what the roads are like when we head off towards Mount Kigali. I imagine they're possibly just as good. We'll find out for you. Meanwhile, enthusiasm of the fans has been absolutely clear. I haven't heard Mr. Larynx up at the top of the cobbled section for a while. I think he's probably just popped a tonsil. Can you? I think you can. But anyway, he's gone a bit quiet is what I'm trying to say. Meanwhile, as you can see, some of the bashing of the hams going on here, and that is Kagimo of Uganda. Another spectacular kit on display here. And the kids themselves at the side of the road will be bidding a farewell to these guys shortly. I think we do actually have this climb again after we have completed 9 laps. But it is shortly after this that we will depart and head off to the Côte de Péage, which will give us a different view and take us deeper into the mountains, where Mount Kigali itself, 5.9 kilometres with 6.7%. Doesn't sound too threatening, but with ramps of 20%, and especially as I imagine we're going to have a bit of pace, because even if there is not an action off the front and a breakaway establishes itself, or indeed a fracturing of the peloton, just the very threat of it, Brian, is going to cause some nervousness, I'm sure, on the big peak.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know why we're doing this loop. You know, I think most of the World Championships that I've seen in recent years, they do a big loop and then come in and do the circuits. I don't think I've seen a World Championships where they do 9 laps, they go out and another part of the course and then come back. And
I like the idea of it.
Yes, but logistical wise for some of the teams, getting out there and getting back, and you know, you've got to remember that, you know, feed stations, and it's a little bit more logistical nightmare for some of these nations. But I was just in communication with on Instagram there with somebody that's watching, Sebastian. Hello, Sebastian. And I hope that there's something happening, and he's thinking maybe at Carapaz or Bernal, those sort of riders. He said maybe another train to Sfaxien or something like that. That would be good. If we saw someone like Carapaz or Bernal, we've not really kind of seen them. I don't think they're in the sort of form that can compete with maybe Evenepoel and Pogacar and things like that come the end. But I hope, this is what I was trying to allude to, that we get maybe 6 or 8, maybe some riders going across on that climb, maybe to the front group, and that would cause a little bit more of a concern, a lot of these riders, because I don't think everybody can sit and wait. We've already learned from yesterday that if you're brave enough to go to the front of the race and then there's a little bit negative riding behind, then you can benefit from it. And Carapaz, former Olympic champion, very good rider, and you know, unfortunately he never went to some of the big races this year because of a little bit kind of illness or injury and things like that, and I think that could be a stepping stone, this climb, for some riders, that in some of the, I say smaller teams, because when we look at the Colombians that are here, there's only 4 of them. There's only 3 Ecuadorian riders here. But it could be a kind of stepping stone to success. And I hope some of the riders, it would be good for us watching it, that if we see a kind of counter move going on that climb without any of the kind of major riders that are, you know, the betting choice for today. I've mentioned 2 of them, Evenepoel and Pogacar, and maybe Pidcock and co. It would be good for that to happen.
Bilim Gamay has been lively. Here's the answer from Mexico. I don't think this was a burn down, but Ruel Caba, I'm afraid, is no longer part of proceedings. Eder Frey is the last man standing for Isaac Del Toro. Meanwhile, Tadej Pogacar is getting himself up there. We've seen Bilim Gamay. Mohamed Kudus may well have a dig as well. I actually think that somebody from Eritrea is going to go a little bit deep just to get themselves active for today. Cal Scottson back to the car. How much urgency is there about him? He's collecting bottles, so that suggests that bodes well. This will be carrying for others. I don't think he's just going to go to the side of the road and have a drink himself. So restocking, just taking his time to get up and over the rise here. But yeah, I've got a feeling that Eritrea are going to make a bit of a noise as we leave town and get to the climb. And I'm going to love watching them do precisely that. Mexico have lost Rubalcaba, but Freya he's on the front, he's still doing that job. So it's going to leave Del Toro entirely isolated. Luke Lamperti of the United States, strong team this. Where their favours will lie at the end, they've got a couple of options, but I've got a feeling that we might see some hit and hopers when we get out and start thinking Quinn Simmons, for goodness sake. That would be nice. This is Fabio Christian, he's been a busy boy. He's part of the breakaway. He was in the very early incarnations of it. Jan Christian, though, is I'm not sure whether it's a namesake or a brother. Jan, Mark Hershey and Mauro Schmidt are indeed their favoured ones.
Time to put your neck on the line.
Go on then. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I tell you what, these creatures, they've got some neck on them. This is our beautiful national park with the big five. And the big five are, we've learned, hippopotamus, rhino, lion, giraffe, and water buffalo. I still can't get my head around water buffalo being one of the big five. I just think they're too numerous, but sorry, water buffalo. Still mean to upset you. They are big, I'll give you that. Back to this. The rises and falls. We've got the calm before the storm. We had a little breeze earlier on. That's suggestive of vortexing, which you get just before a storm. So it's very calm, then suddenly you get that sort of whoosh of cool air just before the rain comes down. I think it's because it's actually falling way above you, and there's a sort of a push of the air and a little bit of a rush. Japan with one rider here, and Yuhi Todome is still embedded. See, I love the colours that we get in the Worlds. Meanwhile, you want some colour, check this out. Lake Kivu and the rolling hills around it. Some of the volcanic areas here, and it actually does look like it's just been thrown up from underground, doesn't it? And it's that terrain which has offered us up the tea plantations in these parts of the world. You see the terracing, and our own steps have been taken throughout today. This will be the last time we are on the cobbles for about 40, maybe 45 kilometres. So the last rattling test, don't chuck a chain now because there's going to be some respite from it, but there are bigger pieces of geography that we've got to deal with. All credit to our breakaway, Brian. They've worked so hard, and Raul Garcia perhaps more than most, and there are his forearms you're seeing rattling away here. Did a good job to bridge that breakaway, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. A couple of them made a big effort. Just getting some information that 3 of the 4 Germans have abandoned. 3 with stomach issues.
No.
Apparently, Lena Lippert also had stomach issues. Yesterday in the race. So yeah, look, as I was just saying, there is a lot of riders have to get everything right on the day, and you do rely on good health. You rely on everything, and sometimes you'll come away and to these races without a chef. You get that in a lot of the pro teams. I know that we took David Hicks, a famous chef in South Africa, to the Tour de France, and his biggest problem was he would be in there for hours cleaning the kitchen before he actually used it, because he thought it was substandard in some of the hotels we were in. So if that's the case, they come in here and they're getting a little bit of a kind of stomach problem, whether it's the food, the water, or anything like that.
Could be viruses as well.
Yeah, these small things, these counts, and obviously in the way over, you're sharing an aeroplane with normal paying members, public members that might be a little bit sick. So you never know.
One of the Eritreans, I'm not sure if it's Binny himself actually. Let's have a look. Just giving out because he just mashed his mech on the rattling surface here and has found himself back and out of the pack, which means he's going to have to put his nose in the wind. He knows what's coming because up and over the top it's Zerai that's waiting for an exchange here. Might have to wait a little while longer. Naum Zarai. Meanwhile, it still continues to be driven on. Pace has actually picked up. Fastest lap so far was the first lap. I've got a feeling that this lap, which is our bid farewell, will actually be also very, very quick. We'll get a graphic on that for you shortly. 7 riders in the breakaway. The advantage they have is down to underneath 2 minutes now, 1:51. It was 2.5, getting on, not exactly for the 3 minutes, but we were kind of up there, weren't we, at that heady altitude. Here we are at the Flamme Rouge. Our friend with his vocal cords, which have been overstretched, is taking a break. We'll be hearing more from him a little bit later, I'm sure. But we're about to depart and head away for the cobbles for a cobble holiday, Brian, of over 40 Ks.
Yeah, I don't think there's any cobbles in this. Well, there is on this Mount Kigali. If I ever remember the pictures right, but it's a shame for Araya. He's the national champion of Eritrea, of course, and to have a mechanical at this moment, and of course not ideal. I hope he gets service very, very quickly and manages to get back. It's going to be obviously very difficult. Anybody having problems getting back?
Yeah, and you can see a few just starting to churn them. We're going to get used to that. This is Rojas from Costa Rica. Looks like, has he got a rear puncture? Can't quite see. You're certainly looking at the chain rattle, which is very much a character of what we are having to deal with. Venezuela. Well, some of the South American teams have a great deal of representation, and it is always a pleasure to see them in action. But Penuela at the back, just having a word with the car. Richard Carapaz from Ecuador. Of course, the Colombians, strong representation here. Brandon Rivera with Egan Bernal, Harold Tejeda, Walter Vargas. That's a strong unit, to be fair. How far Egan Bernal can go at these Worlds, I expect he'll be at the pointy end. He probably would have preferred it to be a little bit more full-on mountainous. But you never know. It's been a long road back, I'm afraid, for Egan Bernal, and we wish him all the very best. And his retrieval. Meanwhile, as they come across the line here, the clock begins to count. It's red, but there's a bit of pace, Brian, because everyone just wants to have their nose into the new road. Yeah,
it'll be really interesting to see what Egan Bernal decides to do. Whether he waits, that's what I was talking about before. Can you afford to wait? Do you want to go toe-to-toe with Pogacar and Evenepoel? Do you want to put yourself in front, take a leaf out the women's race yesterday? So I think Egan Bernal definitely might be of interest on this climb. We know he's a good climber. We probably know he's not at his best, and it might be an opportunity to use the Mount Kigali to his advantage.
Eddie Dunbar's being brought up here. And, you know, good mountains, man. Let's see. It's not the biggest test, 5.9 kilometres, but it's the ramps within it. It's going to feel like a classic test, I think. But we'll wait until we get there, because this will be our short lap, start-finish line that we will take for the last time for a little while, to be fair. So we're heading out into the countryside, and I'm rather pleased about that. Gap's been whittled down, Brian. It was far more significant than this, and I think it's just a measure of, I think, the respect that they're giving the breakaway, but also the potential for others to spring off. They want to keep a pace going so that they can moderate anybody who might go up the road. Somebody like Ben Healy.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one for Ben Healy. We know he wants to go from distance. That's what he does. We've seen him doing that magnificently in the Tour de France to take yellow and take a great stage. And you know, we saw him in the Olympics in Paris doing something a little bit similar. He is the type of person, but in the form that he's got at the moment, I think he can afford to kind of wait a little bit and maybe wait for the final kind of couple of laps. It'd be interesting to see what their tactic is, Ireland's and Ben Healy's tactic. It'd be interesting to see once we come off this and head towards Mount Kigali, who decides to go. I think we will see some action. I'm not too sure it'll be the action that goes all the way to the end, of course.
130 kilometers before we get there. If the camera could just pan a little bit right, we would see a whole raft of grey clouds, and it's starting to kick off. Well, this is nice. Switzerland coming into today. We've seen Fabio Christen doing an awful lot of work up front, but they also have Jan Christen, Mark Hershey. Never quite know what to think of Mark Hershey these days. He seems extremely variable, but then again as well, he's also highly capable when the mood suits him, and he can actually go very, very loud. Switzerland making sure that we are talking about them. These look like herons taking flight. Sharp beaks generally tend to spearfish, sort of spearfishers. Yeah, why not? Who's going to land the big one today? It's still too early to predict, quite frankly, Brian, because there's so many riders. I wouldn't be surprised if they did win. But do you think we'll get some that are really off our radar that might actually just take a step forward?
I think we've been speculating. We've been talking about Carapaz, Bernal, others. You know, who would be the riders that would do that? You know, I think
Healy, Quinn Simmons.
I think Quinn Simmons is going to wait. He's been looked after at the front of the peloton. This is, however, Mauro Schmidt. They have got a rider in front, but we saw how great yesterday the Swiss roads. Okay, they got fourth in the end, but I thought they were one of the team of the race yesterday. They were getting everything right, putting riders in all the right moves, but unfortunately came fourth. But there's a lot of riders that might decide to do something. It might be a case of, you know, Oscar Onley doing something on the climb and going, and for Tom Pidcock to kind of wait back. That would be maybe my tactic.
That's a very good shout, yeah.
Or is Oscar Onley and Pidcock? It's indecision. I think, looking at yesterday's race, I think there'll be a few teams looking to try and do something on this climb and try and go over the top of the climb and go to the front of the race. The
teams suddenly mobbing the front, and Belgium have got some company. Norway starting to have a think about it. Denmark are looking numerous, I must say, and they've got a fighting force. Matthias Chelmos, we talked about his Ardennes Classic head and the way that might transfer to this. I kind of believe in him. The team quite clearly do, and they are moving him up. The Intare Conference Centre looks like something that's just landed from outer space. Not landing yet. Mauro Schmidt, not a blow anyway on the peloton, that is still being moderated, and it's split into two, like a large tuning fork at the moment, and at what key it's going to be set to, I do not know. And who's got the key to the door a little bit later on? Remco Evenepoel is, every time we look at him, looks very, very nervous. And look at Slovenia. They've burnt down 3 of their number, but they still have 6. Meanwhile, Estonia and Ryan Taramay, he was here on his own, and he's pulled the pin. Thanks to him. He's been a great rider for so many years. And this vast lake, look at that, it's a beautiful picture. Credit to the director of photography for that one. Absolutely beautiful. Well, today, Beauty or the Beast? Well, somebody's going to be the big beast today. I'm not quite sure who it is going to be. Dan Rafferty just picking him out. Just making his way up as well is Ben Healy. I believe Ryan Mullen was in the pit area. I'm still not sure whether Ryan Mullen is out yet. This is Morgado of Portugal. I love the way that they just dissembled the word Portugal on their back. It's great from a heli shot, to be fair, just in case you're wondering. And our breakaway is now just starting to fracture ever so slightly. Check out the shoulder here from Anders Fuldager. I'm just wondering who, indeed, of the trio is going to bridge over. And the answer for the time being is none of these. Fabio Christen of Switzerland's just holding fire. Likewise is Marius Meyerhofer. The gap's down to 95 seconds, and to be honest, it looks like their day is done. They've been up here for a long, long time. And now as we leave town, we're heading out into the countryside, and the first test is going to be the Côte du Péage. I don't know whether that is actually going to be a toll booth. I guess we're going to wait and see. 2.2 kilometres and 5.8%, so not the most sterling climb, but possibly a little bit of a mirror of what we've already dealt with. We've got our circuit climb to go, and that's after this next climb. You'll recognise it. It's not the cobbled climb, it's the other one. If you've got two major climbs within the circuit, and so we're going to enjoy that, and then we're leaving town. And we'll be gone for a good old reach. So we've still got another, what, 30-odd kilometres before we actually get back to the cobbles that are part of our short lap. May well be that we find a little cobbled section within Mont Kigali itself, and that is what is going to define us today. This is a floodplain that, there you go, overcast, 27 Celsius. In fact, temperature has picked up, and so has the wind. This is beyond the 9 kilometres per hour predicted, and that suggests a breeze and possibly somebody kicking up a storm. Mauritius and Alexander Meyer.
Yeah, it's always an honor to represent my country, and I'm very happy, very proud to be here. First time in Africa for me, first time for the World Championship in Africa, so yeah, we are ready.
Could we expect seeing Victor Langelotti in a breakaway?
I don't think so, to be honest. I will try my best to just stay as long as possible with the top guys and see what's possible in the final laps.
And your prince is present here, so extra motivation.
Yeah, exactly. Extra motivation is always, super nice to have the support of the Prince Albert. So, I'm going to give my best to represent Monaco as best as possible.
Merci à toi.
Representing Monaco, and as you've heard, His Royal Highness Prince Albert is here, very much a cycling supporter. Loves his racing generally, actually. I guess you've got to, because it'll be, of course, the Grand Prix brushing by his front door almost constantly. 40%. This is the Côte Kigali, so the rib of Kigali. We're leaving this. We also have the Mont Kigali and the Peak Kigali. How many more? There's the mountain, there's the peak, there's the rib of what? Kigali. That's where we're playing today. Well, 124 kilometres. Kind of feels a bit doable now, doesn't it? We are, would you believe, finally beyond the halfway mark of today's race. A mighty distance that was, quite frankly, just a little bit frightening at the beginning of the day, but now seems kind of quantifiable. It's not that they've ridden easy, and our breakaway, which is starting to break down, this is Menno Wissing. It looked like he was struggling a little bit last lap and has done so again on this climb. He's done an awful lot of climbing, and we remind you there's plenty, over 5,300 metres of it indeed. I've got to tell you, this is 5,393 altitude metres in total by the end of today. That's 1,100 more than last year in Zurich in 2024, 2,500 more than the World Championships in 2023, 1,200 more than in 2022, 3,100 more than in 2021. I'll stop this now. But just to say, the Qatari desert version of the World Championships, we have 5,000 more metres than we had in Qatar. All right, I know the desert's flat, but, you know, only 300 metres of altitude gain during that race. It was the wind that was the problem, and only on one corner. Oh, and the heat. Gosh, I remember that so well. Seeing riders just evacuating their tummies, that's the best way I can describe in polite company. Because of heat exhaustion, it was horrible to witness. In fact, dare I say it as well, there was a lot of dexterous camera work where we avoided seeing some of the worst impacts of the heat. It was too much for a lot of riders, and I don't think it's going to be any time soon that we go back to those kind of temperatures. I mean, we were nudging up sort of late 30s, hoving towards the 40s. It was too much. Thankfully, the weather here has been almost perfect. 27 Celsius, although heavy with humidity. And as you can see, the clouds are screaming and wrestling with themselves in an attempt to form a thunderstorm. We've escaped that fate so far, but it does feel like pretty stormy. And there is storms in the area, or the region, let's put it that way. Whether they'll grace us is anybody's guess. About a 40% chance before the end of today, so it's an increased risk. And as indeed we deal with this climb and the exit starts to beckon, and we'll say farewell to Kigali momentarily as we dip on a lick, if you like, into the countryside. All of a sudden, I guess the pace just to get into a decent place is starting to take a toll. Rory Townsend.
Easy as well. So those were the 3 years that Peter Sagan won the world title. So it doesn't always come down to how many elevation meters we have if you've got wind. In that Doha World Championships, it did come down to a sprint in the end, but it was a hard race. So it just goes to show you how versatile Peter Sagan was. He could win on some hilly courses, and he could win on the flats. Today, I think, because I think it does really kind of suit a kind of classic rider. So, but for more, I think this is really going to see, and this is, we're just seeing here from Jay Vine and Domin Novak. We're seeing just how, you see, one of the favourites, Del Toro. 2 kilometres to go to the top of this climb, as Carlton said. Possibly the hardest of Rwandan cycling. Plenty of youngsters out enjoying their day. Domin Novak at the front for Slovenia. Del Toro and Juan Ayuso, teammates of Pogacar, up towards the front of this race. Key Nutribricks for Belgium in the yellow helmets, especially the youngsters. And there they are, enjoying their day. So Domin Novak leads this peloton. The Swiss with Jan Christian and Mark Hirschi off to the left-hand side. Ben Healy in the green on the right, the darker green to the Slovenian outfit. In front of him, you can see the former Olympic champion, and that is Richard Carapaz. So one by one, the workhorses of Slovenia sliding out the back door. These are incredible sights we're seeing here in the KIGALI World Championships. This peloton really has thinned out, and is that Quinn Simmons now on the drift at the back of the
Brian?
Yeah, more so going out the back. It's they are losing a lot of numbers, Slovenia. I know they started with 9 riders, but already losing a lot of riders.
the likes of Leknesund, Hershey, who's still very busy for Switzerland. Juan Ayuso, of course, I want to see what he's got left. Carlos Canal, his teammate, at least he's got a teammate. Jay Vine, Michael Storer, Michael Matthews, Jai Hindley. That's a big, big fighting force from Australia that have kept themselves together. Likewise from Italy, we have Baggioli, Ciccone, Frigo and Garofoli. Tom Pidcock, the sole Brit, remained within this group. Looked a bit second-hand earlier on today, hoping that he can dig deep into the resources, and it's more than just a bronze medal later on. But as Belgium and Australia form themselves into a good fighting group, they also joined here by Italy, and everyone getting the taste now for a drive for home. Who else is represented up front? Gebeshabier, one of the last of the Africans here, which is fantastic to see him thriving out front, but nobody more so than Tadej Pogačar and Isaac Del Toro. The Danes with Honoré and Chelmos. We mentioned Italy with Baggioli, Frigo, Ciccone and Garofoli. Utebrechts, Hermans, Evenepoel for Belgium. And it looks like they may have been put to the sword. 51 seconds. And this is where this pair, who know each other instinctively from, of course, their team, UAE Team Emirates, they are serving different nations today, but they could serve up an amazing 1-2 for their trade team and ultimately bring medals to both Slovenia and to Mexico. What colour will each of them secure? And indeed, are we preempting matters? Because the gap is down now to 49 seconds. I still believe that either one of these could win the day, even if it all comes back together. Such is the strength they've shown, Brian.
Yeah, it really depends on what happens behind. But we're talking about the quiet riders being from Italy. They've got 4 riders in this chase group, and they rightly should be committing. You're talking about the Aussies having 4 riders as well. They've got Hindley, Matthews, Storer and Vine. Of course, there can only be one winner. You can't kind of hold back. If you don't bring Del Toro and Pogačar back, then you're right for bronze. That's as simple as that. There's enough numbers in here, even for the Swiss of Christian and Hersey. So 2. Norway have Leknesund and Svenstad, so they have 2. But there's a lot of riders in here with just on their own. But even if they sit on the back and don't kind of contribute a lot, then you know they're hiding to nothing. So you've got 2 riders from the Netherlands, 3 from France. They have been doing a little bit of riding, but not for the moment. Belgium, well, they've got 3 riders, but they're committing Quinten Hermans. So you can see the Dutch sitting back there. Like, if you don't bring the 2 riders in front back, then you've got absolutely nothing to play for. You're going for bronze.
I am waiting to see what Sivakov does. He's on fantastic form coming out of the circuit racing that we've enjoyed in Canada as well. So one of the nearest, essentially, to those who have been busy and had great success. Australia have got manpower here, but how can they use it? Jay Vine's just taking himself a comfort break at the side of the road. I don't think he'd pulled the pin. He'd done a... we should wait and see, of course. Nothing is certain. And in fact, this does not look like a comfort break. This looks like day done for Jay Vine. Is it more serious than that? He's taking a relaxed toot on the bidon. I think he's called it a day. I don't think he wants to drive into his teammates, potentially. Maybe that's a factor, maybe not. But he's done a lot of work as Jay Vine. He's had a phenomenally successful season. Maybe he's going to leave it to Michael Storer, Michael Matthews and Jai Hindley to deliver the job. You can't all take time.
Any other races, once the kind of stronger riders, the duo in front have gone, then who else is going to do the chasing? Tom Pidcock is in his own, so he can't rely on anybody to help. So it's a case of either you communicate with the other good riders in here and try and combine, because one thing you cannot rely on is your teammates, because you know they're dropping like flies.
They are. You don't know the efficacy of what's left in the tank of those amongst you. Tom Pidcock picking it up. You see Carapaz as well in that chase group, just making himself known. But as Brian says, you can't work over the Belgians because you'll end up working over yourselves. Every great dish has a number of ingredients, and they're going to have to bring those together if they're going to, I guess, produce the cake at the end of the day and maybe eat it. Let's wait and see. Tadej Pogačar, Isaac Del Toro, they're the ones out front. They're the ones playing the game here in this magnificent country. We're back on the circuit, all familiar. That was a lovely little sojourn, great atmosphere as well, and huge drama, Brian. It's defined the day. We thought it might.
It's incredible, and you know, you can see Mohoric and Co, they've done the work today. This is going to, and I know we've got 80 kilometres to go. It was this moment that last year Pogačar decided to go, but you know, thumbs up from the Slovenians there. This is going so well for them. Del Toro is almost a perfect rider for Pogačar to have there. Trade teammate and someone that's got really good form at the moment. And you know, there's no combinations, no nothing. You get two Dutch here, Mollema and Arnsman, just sitting on. You get
efforts as well. Wonderful kick by Ben Healy, which kind of illuminated a desire to chase on. We had a big coming together. What have we got? 30 riders, that kind of margin within the chase. But the numbers are starting to dissipate. Italy themselves, dare I think that they are back up to full strength, more or less. I think there's 5 Italians here. Baggioli, Ciccone, Frigo, Masnada, Garofoli. What are they doing? Maybe they haven't got the legs. It's as simple as that, Brian.
Masnada's not here.
Are you not there? Beg your pardon. No. But nonetheless, my screens are just out of shape at the moment. But
yeah, I think Pro Cycling Stats are saying Masnada's not there. It's the riders that are there for Italy: Baggioli, Ciccone, Frigo, and Garofoli. But you're just looking here, looking at.
Wow, he's not happy with something. I don't know whether it's just the day and frustration, but he was beating hell out of his power meter there.
In the time trial, but I just can't believe Italy. With, you know, 4 riders in that group, and they're just sitting back and allowing... well, hang on a second. He's waiting. He's waiting for him.
Yeah, he is.
He wants him. He doesn't... This time last year, he went from this distance, and he's just having a quick word with him. Look, just stay with me, do what you can, and you know, I'll try and nurse you through this.
Get you a silver medal.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. He's blown. He's absolutely blown.
Del Toro is out, and for the count, I'm afraid. He put so much into this, and so almost by default, Tadej Pogačar is now going to be forced to have to go.
Nope.
Well, let's see. Is he still waiting up for him? Offering up a wheel. This offers up an opportunity. Right, watch the clock. 53 seconds. Will it come back down? Portugal kicking on into the gap here. It's Ulao that wants to be part of this. And Del Toro gets back on. Young man, don't forget, very much so. He's only 21 years of age. And he's now back onto Tadej Pogačar, his trade teammate. Can he believe and stay with? If he's suffering now, he may suffer again really, really significantly later on. Are they calling for sustenance from the neutral? Maybe he's just had a hunger knock. I don't know. Could be a misfeed. It's a very, very, very long day, this, don't forget. We're approaching 200 kilometres completed. There's 190 done, and a lot will get found out at this kind of distance. And dare I suggest, particularly a young man, of which, of course, Del Toro is. He's riding amongst the seniors. He could have been in the under-23s. He's 21 years of age, but because of his professional status, he has to race with the big boys. Maybe he's being found out. Evenepoel, certainly. He's let his nerves start to fray. He's not happy with the bike. He's not happy with the situation. I don't think he's going to be happy with the result because, quite frankly, the world time trial champion is in all kinds of bother. There are other riders here as well starting to struggle. What an amazing day.
Yeah, it's just when you thought everything was set, you know, Evenepoel asking for his team car as well. Jai Hindley coming up there. Eulalio was the rider from Portugal that was trying to do something. I just don't understand why. And they're not going to go across the two in front if they try and do it on their own. They need help. They need to get organised, and organised is not what they're doing.
No, I'm afraid not. But let us wait and see. Some that we thought were tailed off. Kevin Vermaak is still here, the American, but hanging just a little bit. Remco Evenepoel is absolutely livid. That can work for you. It can also very much work against you if it's a distraction. You can use the anger to push yourself to the absolute limit, but at the moment it seems that it's his equipment that is letting him down at the moment. Even if that is perceived or real, it's still an impact. Remco Evenepoel is losing his rag, Brian.
Yeah, he is. Nothing's going right for him at all. As he's putting his hand up for the team car for assistance, and it just doesn't look good for Evenepoel at all. Kane Uterbrooks is down towards the back on the ray, just in front. There's a lot of riders just kind of hanging on here.
Trying to send messages via the television screen as well. Now, those around him, he looked a lot fresher than Charlie Uterbrooks, that is for sure. Pidcock still very much as part of this group. Ben Healy as well. Is he going to have another go? And Ben Healy does. He drifts to the centre of the road, and it's a question of catch me if you can. Chelmers will try and stay with him. Who else has got any kind of legs to try and be involved at the pointy end of today? If Ben Healy's racing for bronze, could he possibly race for more? Oh, and to the side of the road goes Remco Evenepoel, and everyone's screaming by him at the moment. He's screaming oaths into the sky, I'm afraid, and he puts himself to the side of the road, takes off the power meter he's just beaten hell out of, and indeed now he will wait to indeed get a new steed here. In fact, is he leaving everything behind? Come on, out of my way, I need my bike, he says, and maybe the one that he handed over before. Desperate times for Remco Evenepoel, and he's seeing his hopes go up the road.
Yeah, game over, you have to think, for Belgium, unfortunately.
Oh, good Lord.
I feel for the team now. I don't know what happened to the bike, what problems he had. These two have got no problems, apart from Del Toro. They were asking for assistance there, and the Shimano Nutrition Service came up and offered them a bottle. They don't want a bottle, they want nutrition, food, as you already said, Carlton. And having Pogacar there and waiting Del Toro, saying to him, because if you can remember last year in Zurich, Pogacar went through a similar thing. He went through a little bit of a difficult period, and he's trying to help Del Toro through that period.
Well, you know, a silver medal is something absolutely magnificent, especially if it's with your trade teammate, I guess you might say. But Tony Pogacar, I think he needs Del Toro for a little bit of emotional support apart from anything else. It's still a long way to go, don't forget. 5 laps remaining. But it looks like they have a margin that nobody is capable of closing. And indeed, those that are finding themselves in trouble, including Remco Evenepoel, who's got a technical issue. Mark Hirschi coming through. Part of the Swiss push with Jan Christen as part of the front group, but Evenepoel shaking the head. Yeah, and the shoulders are down, Brian. That is not the pace of a man who's getting himself back in. The bike should be okay now, but he's not.
No, the positive thing is Remco's already got a gold medal from the time trial, so he's got something from these championships. Ben Herman's sent back to help out. Gareth Foley's there. We asked where were the Italians, because they had numbers, and everybody's in the back foot now, and you know, with the gap going up the whole time to the duo in front. And as you say, and we said it at the time, that Pogacar, he was waiting. He wants Del Toro to be there. Mexico have never medalled in the elite men's world championships. Artem, nice to see him up there in the neutral colours. But Jai Hindley going on the attack there, it just goes to show that no one is prepared to ride. I think these guys are racing for bronze now.
Yeah, essentially. And every time that they go, Brian, they're wanting company. I'm not quite sure they like the complexion of who it is that comes to join them, but I think we might get a separate battle for, indeed, a bronze medal. It might be something more than that, something more precious, because 38 seconds is the gap at the moment, but it's going to have to take. But who's got anything left? I think even if you have numbers and teammates around you, they're all empty.
No, they're not using their teammates. Like we said before, it's, you know, even some of the teammates have been dropped now, and just a shake of the head before from Evenepoel, and he's got some mojo back. He's trying again, whether he can come back or not. But yeah, Honoré, Sivakov and Ben Healy are trying to go down the roads. But
a knock. He'll be aware of that, having had to go back and almost carry Isaac Del Toro off that last climb. We've got moisture around. Some of it, the road looks like we may have had a little shower has come through here, but we haven't seen any falling rain. But we've seen this man falling down the order, I'm afraid.
I got a message on the course. Someone on the course messaged me just when we were out the Mount Kigali. They messaged me to say that raindrops coming down. Yeah,
we've seen it on the camera lens. I was wondering whether it was just a splashed bidon. But here we go. Tuck in, get ready. Tony Buchan at the end of the road. But on the case, and others starting to join the fray. Giant Hindley has been very, very busy. He's got to do something if he wants to be part of a battle for any kind of medal. At the moment, Honoré Sivakov and Ben Healy. Sivakov, a terrific class kilometres then of the day remaining. We're at 196 kilometres completed, Brian. That's an awful long way, but there's still a lot of drama to be had, I think. But has one tale been told up the road?
Yeah, it's down to 34 seconds, and Ben Healy, Honoré, Sivakov, you know, they're trying. You've got Jai Hindley trying to come up. The gap has come down to 34 seconds.
Victor Campanacci saw it in the pits, talking to the team. A man who, well, turns himself inside out on behalf of others. And I think Remco Evenepoel possibly been reminded of that. There's a whole team that are disappointed, just as disappointed as he is. And away he goes. It's not worth chiding him, Brian. He sets himself very, very high standards, and it's a wave of disappointment has washed over him. He's kind of got to park it to one side, because with this kind of distance, Evenepoel is 1 minute and 20. He's 89 seconds down on the leaders of the day. He's actually much closer to a medal here, and if he can wrap himself back up in the comfort of having team support here, and he's still got support around him, maybe he can produce something today.
Twice it looked as if he'd given up.
Yep.
The bike change, no, that's it, kicking things out the way.
Yep.
And then the shake of the head coming up towards the finishing line. Something's happened, whether it's Serge Powers, the team coach in the car, has said to him, calm down.
Yep.
There's a bronze medal up for grabs here.
Yep.
Don't give up now.
Quite right. And that's the way it should be. You win a bronze medal, Brian. You don't lose anything by winning bronze. It is a very, very high grade reward for a big day, and Evenepoel is not out of that game yet.
Well, what I would say at this point is look at the work that your team has done today.
Exactly, right. That's what I was saying.
They've taken it on,
yep.
Right, and you're giving up.
Yep.
Right, just because you're getting these couple of mechanicals, you're giving up. Don't.
It's precisely what I just
said.
said. Yeah.
Go on.
Exactly. Double down, get on with it, snap out of it, do your job. You're a quality rider, do it. Show us. And he is going to, I think. Let's wait and see. At the moment, he's 84 seconds off the lead, but much closer at hand, about 50 seconds from that chase group, the trio of Honoré, Sivakov and Healy. So, fully engaged and ready to deliver some vim and vigour, and Remco Evenepoel is powering back in. It looks like he's got the belief back, and he's with some quality riders here who will also want something out of the day, unless they start leaning on him, in which case they might all grab some dry sand and it'll crumble to nothing. The harder you grab it, the less effective indeed your grip remains. Here it is. Well, he's sailing through the cars. Looks like he's up for it, Brian, and that's good news.
Yeah, it's been such an emotional day for Evenepoel so far. You know, I hope he will get into this chase group. There is another small group just in front. You know, I think this is what he has to do. You know, he's been criticised in the past for kind of throwing the towel in and, you know, being controversial. But at the end of the day, this is the World Championships, and although he's got a gold medal, that, you know, he has to show what grit he's got in this race to try and do best by Belgium.
Catania goes, Garofoli's in the wrong group, Baggioli is in that chase group trying to just get back to Honoré, Sivakov and Healy. Meanwhile, Evenepoel is coming up. He's got a teammate in Chan Udebrooks further up the road. Quentin Hermans has come back to help him out. Michael Matthews discussing what might have been, I guess, but an abandonment for him. we're seeing some of those who have abandoned, Brian, who are actually, after recovering, offering up some smiles because they know they've done a job today on behalf of their team. I think the broadest smiles are coming at the moment from Slovenia, their crew, and of course Mexico.
Yeah, we're not seeing from Mexico. I think there's a small contingent here.
And some of the faster sections here, and Frade has finally blown. He's a young man, only 21 years of age. I just think he's just a little bit too young for this kind of distance. Meanwhile, Tadej Pogačar has flown the coop. They've obviously had a chat. Pogačar's going to have to do it all on his own, and just short of a devil's distance, 66.5, neighbour of the beast. Away he goes. He's on his own. Anyone else, this would be an amazing challenge. Can he bring it in? Let's have a look. Wasn't a technical, I don't think, despite the fact we're looking at the wheels. How you doing? Is it going to happen? Sorry, mate, I just cannot do any more. It's the climbs, Brian. It was going to take a toll, and finally it has.
Yeah, I waited for him the first time, can't the seconds, unfortunately. And yeah, another medal you have to feel goes up for grabs.
It defeats you, but other times you can actually work it into your advantage. And Evenepoel has clearly been reminded about what his responsibilities are. He's back to that significant group just behind Honoré, Sivakov and Healy. They're about to find Del Toro. It won't be too long. I don't think they've passed him just yet, but this will spur them on because they're going to suddenly realise that there is a silver medal now up for grabs amongst this trio. That group behind contains Evenepoel. There he is. He's just bedding himself in. He's with some quality riders here. They won't all lean on him because I think they've finally realised that they're all going to have to work at this distance, 65 kilometres out, to get something out of the day. But what a story this will be. If Evenepoel medals, that will be an achievement in itself, no matter what the colour.
Yeah, of course. I probably said it at the start of the day, but as a former world champion, you know, what you want is to come here and win that title again. But I do feel sorry for Del Toro here. I just think strategy and his nutrition, he got it wrong today and cracked a little bit.
Strategy, and Del Toro is about to join them. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to this quartet. Let's wait and see if he can re-find himself. I don't know whether it is just a feed issue or whether it's something more significant. Screaming down behind them and may well even come into camera shot in a few moments' time as Honoré, Sivakov, Del Toro now and Ben Healy form a quartet, and there, just behind, guess who? Remco Evenepoel is charging into the gap. This is fantastic. He's got, is it Baggioli? Pidcock, certainly. This is brilliant. We have a proper battle on our hands. Has Pogačar gone too early? 54 seconds he holds. Remco Evenepoel seems to be entirely reinvigorated. His mood's in the right place. What can he do?
Yeah, it's an amazing turnaround you think here, but I think on the flip side here, you cannot do it all on your own. No. Just when you were giving it up twice, you have to ask the questions. You've got Ciccone here for Italy, you've got Eulalio for Portugal, and Pidcock. I think the others are coming back now, but you cannot.
And due to the anger that has washed over him, and he's just about to get over to the Healy group here. This is absolutely remarkable from Remco Evenepoel. Pidcock's also in the frame here, don't forget. Sivakov, quality rider as well, especially in this kind of circumstance, on this kind of terrain. And here comes Evenepoel, and this is a to hell with it ride at the moment, and it's in a handcart potentially for some others. This is amazing. What a drive by Evenepoel, and he's coming straight through, and guess what? Tom Pidcock's on his wheel. Ben Healy now needs to grind in and stay with them. What a trio that would turn out to be, amongst others as well. But Tadej Pogačar, has he bitten off more than he can chew? At the moment, he is chomping into the course. He's eaten up, unfortunately, the efforts and the ambitions of Isaac Del Toro. He might re-find himself, let's not forget, but he's not here where Evenepoel is. Healy is. Pidcock struggling to stay with this. This is brilliant.
Look at Evenepoel, he's not even asking for any help whatsoever. I just fear that he's trying to do it all himself. That anger, that fire in his belly is roaring, and You know, he really needs to kind of ask for help. This is the only way back for them. You can see that Pogacar, just a moment ago, he put it into the big ring there, and you know, put the power down, and you know, the gap is going up now. Pogacar against Evenepoel is not going to happen. Ben Healy's there, Skelmos. He needs all the help he can get. He cannot just do this all on his own.
Evenepoel is driving this on, but unfortunately he's driving nails into some of those behind him, including Tom Pidcock, who's just now drifting ever so slightly. Here we go. It is Tadej Pogacar beasting the course and everybody else. 58 seconds. Can he get up to a minute? He's absolutely sailing up here, but we saw in the time trial, he suddenly hit a wall, essentially. And the man who came up and papered all over the gaps and indeed set himself a beautiful victory poster was Remco Evenepoel. He's chasing at the moment. Evenepoel, Skelmos, Pidcock and Ben Healy as a quartet, but I think that's thinning down as well. Here it is. No, in fact, they are solid as a quintet right now, and Jai Hindley as part of this group that have set sail. Everybody else are now suddenly realising that it's drifting away from them. Evenepoel has got some very fine riders around him. He's got to share the duty. If he does, then others behind might well come into the fray. But he's kicking on. At the moment, it is Evenepoel versus Tadej Pogacar. Evenepoel chasing down Tadej Pogacar. Evenepoel dragging others along with him. Evenepoel needs to call for help. I'm not quite sure how much can be offered up by those who are around him. 60 kilometres to go. Others coming to try and bridge over and join the...
I think he's shown it now. I think Evenepoel, well, I think he has to ask the question of the others, and he has now. So it's what the others have got left, really. You know, Healy, Jai Hindley, Skelmos. I don't think Skelmos is hit the front yet at all. Tom Pidcock, you can see it is in Sexas.
Now, the gap is at 1:01. There are storm clouds up ahead. That's just about the only thing that's going to stop this man, maybe a lightning strike. But Tadej Pogacar, look how calm he looks, Brian. This is a man in control of his destiny.
Yeah, it looks super good. Look at everybody else. You know, Jai Hindley, mouth open. Evenepoel, well, it doesn't look as if he knows what's happened to him today. He's not at the best of luck, but even on the climb, the Mount KIGALI, I don't think he had the legs either. So this man is on a mission. He's been on a mission ever since he became a professional cyclist, and
there we go.
I don't think anybody's bringing him back today.
Do you know, the one thing that's missing from the group that's around Remco Evenepoel is that anger, that fire in the belly, as you call it, Brian, and he is displaying it in buckets here. And I'm afraid it's Tom Pidcock that's been found out this time by kick-off by Remco Evenepoel again.